The dark truth behind attracting narcissists. Yes, my friend, in this video, you realize what is the dark hidden truth that you wouldn't want to admit for yourself, that keeps you stuck in this pattern of consistently attracting emotionally unavailable people who only take you for granted. They don't really take you seriously. They use you as their supply, and they are not willing to commit for a long-term mutually beneficial partnership with you. And if you realize this, if you accept this, and then you decide to do the inner work, then you can be free of that belief that keeps you stuck in attracting narcissistic personalities. That being the case, my friend, let's directly begin. And also, if you stay with me until the end of the video, I'll share with you 3 questions that you can contemplate. You can start contemplating to get yourself free of this belief that we investigate together. So, what is the core reason? What is this deep, dark truth that you are hiding and that we are hiding from ourselves when we are stuck in emotionally unavailable partnerships? Well, it's basically the belief that I am afraid nobody will choose me. I am afraid I am not a good enough person to be chosen. And so the way this belief reflects in reality is that you keep being attracted to people who are really not willing to choose you because they have only chosen for themselves and they're the epicenter of their world. They are fully egocentric. And this is how this belief reflects. It since unconsciously part of you believes, and this is something that you have inherited from your childhood experiences, so you're also not the one to blame, but you're responsible for taking ownership of that belief and letting it go, because this is how healing happens. And most likely, if you're listening to this video, you also know that you're an empath who really cares for other people's feelings, who in a way believes that if I'm not there for others to help them, to serve them, to do them good, I'm a bad person. I need to be there for my neighbor. I need to be there for all the people who need me. I need to be there because if I am not there for others, then I'm not a good person. I'm a bad person, and I don't want to be a bad person because I don't want to have other bad people in my life. So this is also another belief that you might hold, that you might have, and that is keeping you stuck in attracting narcissists. But ultimately, the first and most important belief you need to take ownership of and let go of, and my friend, be genuine right now. Be honest with yourself. Really take a moment and contemplate this with me. Is part of you afraid that you are not good enough to be chosen? That you haven't done enough good in the world to be chosen? And could it be possible that this is the reason why you keep being attracted to narcissistic people? And do you have this hidden hope, like somewhere deep inside you, that eventually, if you do enough good to people who are not willing to appreciate that, they will eventually realize who you are and like take you seriously. They will stop taking you for granted and they will start caring for you. And they will give you the same amount or even more care and like more they'll be there for you the way you are there for them. Do you have this hidden hope that eventually, if you do enough good for your partners, if you show them all your positive traits, all your virtuous traits, and like if you help them enough, they will eventually realize who you are and take you seriously? Do you hope that? Are you still attached to that hope? Because let me tell you what happens. Let me share with you a story of a client I worked with who was in a really intensely emotionally abusive relationship with a narcissist for 10 years, more than 10 years. And they had children together, and he didn't care for their children. And so she was the one warrior woman who was taking care for the whole of her family, while her husband, her narcissistic husband, he was basically just taking all the status he could gather from like taking care of their family, because he was a public figure and he needed that status to support his position in society. And so like he was just taking enough care for the children so that he can ensure to himself that people were seeing him as a savior, as being good for others, because this is how he was sustaining his status. And so she was being in that relationship like over investing, because her husband was not investing at all. He was investing the minimum amount. And here I'm talking not so much financially, I'm talking more about emotional investments, like being there for your partner, caring for them, being able to provide support, being able to uplift them, being able to be with them through hardship moments. This is what I'm talking about. So he wasn't there, and he was stuck in that relationship for 10 years, for even more than 10 years. And then eventually, when we started working together, when we connected and started working together, she needed to admit to herself, and she needed to investigate deep within herself these limiting belief patterns that she was holding, that were keeping her stuck in that relationship. At that stage, she was in a moment in which she wanted to end it, but she was still like she was really dependent on him, because this is what happens when you're in a relationship with a narcissist. You become codependent. You become a pawn in his chess play, and so you're just a figure. You're just a tool he uses to achieve his goals and purposes, whatever they are. So unless you take responsibility for some of the beliefs that keep you attracted to narcissistic people, and this is the dark hidden truth. The dark truth is that, well, my friend, you are not willing to choose yourself. In the case of this client, I was sharing her story with you. Well, she was hoping that eventually, by doing enough good to him and like to other people in her job, she was always the one who is virtuous, who is always caring for others, who was always willing to compromise her own needs and values. And she was so hardworking. She was doing everything for others, but not for herself. And so eventually she realized deep down within herself, when we started investigating her beliefs, she realized that, yes, part of me is afraid that I I don't choose myself, and I'm worried. I'm afraid that nobody will choose me. I don't want to choose myself because this means that I am a bad person. I don't want to be egocentric. I don't want to like take from others. I just want to give. I just want to be this good giving person, right? This is what every empath believes. But almost always we exclude from that equation the fact that we are also a person for whom we are responsible to care. Because if we look from a deeper state of consciousness, from our presence awareness, unconditioned awareness of being, this body mind that is being attracted to narcissists, for example, well, it's also a person that you should take care of. You shouldn't only take care for others, assuming that you'll be a bad person if you don't. No, sometimes, of course, you need boundaries. And by the way, if you need help setting your boundaries, you can check out down in the description below. I have a 3-question framework for setting healthy boundaries, which you may find really valuable. But getting back to the story, so eventually she realized that it was her responsibility. Her beliefs were her own responsibility. She started letting them go. First, she started structuring them. Then she started letting them go. Then she started choosing herself, meaning that she became connected to her needs, boundaries, and gifts. And then she became unapologetic for people who are not willing to respect her needs and boundaries. And so eventually they went through a divorce. She was able to let go of all the grief, all the feelings of loss and codependency that she was harboring within that relationship. And now she's free. And eventually she met somebody else, another partner who is taking care of her, taking care for her, who is like loving her, seeing her for who she is, who is really appreciating all of her, cherishing all of her, who is not there just to use her emotionally, which is what most narcissists do. But understanding this, understanding that the hidden truth of why you attract narcissists is because you haven't chosen yourself still. You hope that eventually, when you do enough good for others, they'll choose you. And then you'll be worthy to choose yourself. And so you're afraid until then that I'm not good enough to be chosen. So that's why I need to do good to others, right? This is how these beliefs operate. So unless you choose yourself, my friend, what will continuously happen is that you consistently attract narcissistic people who only choose themselves and not you, because they are just reflecting your belief about yourself, your self-image, your self-concept. They are not the one to blame also. And now I also wanted to read to you one statement, one quote from Dr. David Hawkins. It's an author I really love. You can definitely check out his books. It has helped me tremendously in my life. Letting Go by Dr. David Hawkins is the book that I will be paraphrasing this quote from. So here is what he shares about blame. Blame is the world's greatest excuse. It enables us to remain limited and small without feeling guilty. So this is what guilt gives us. This is the payoff of blame, not guilt. When we are blaming others, so for example, if you are still blaming your partner or your ex-partner who was a narcissist, who wasn't taking care of you, who was only thinking of himself, and who are blackmailing you emotionally, whatever the situation was, if you're still blaming him, well, this is basically the biggest excuse you can have, because it enables you to keep yourself limited and small without feeling guilty. If you blame them for your own belief systems that you haven't taken responsibility of, well, this is how you keep yourself small and limited. You give the responsibility to the other. You make yourself a victim. But there is a cost. Here is what he says. But there is a cost, the loss of our freedom. When you still blame your ex-partner for not treating you the way you want to be treated, or if you still hold belief systems like there are not good men around me, like there is nobody who would want to take care for me, all good men are taken, or like men are not emotionally available, all the men around me are not emotionally available, they're only thinking of themselves, they're attracted to me only because I look good, they are not attracted to my personality. If you hold similar beliefs to that, and if you blame it on the others, well, you're restricting yourself from your own freedom, my friend. So also, the role of a victim brings with it a self-perception of weakness, vulnerability, and helplessness, which are major components of apathy and depression. So if you find yourself stuck in these states, well, here is what you need to do. Take some responsibility of your belief systems. Start investigating them. Start asking yourself questions. What must I believe about men, about myself, about the world, about life, to be experiencing this kind of circumstances and situations? This is how you start taking responsibility. And this work, my friend, it will save your life. And it's like, if you want to go deeper in that and want to understand how you can take responsibility of your own beliefs, you can check out another training I have. It's in the description. The 3 phases you will pass through until you surround yourself only by conscious, uplifting, and meaningful relationships. And it will show you the exact 3 phases that it's like a system I discovered by working with more than 15 people personally, and for myself also. It's the exact 3 phases that people go through until they're surrounded by people that they love and they support them and they lift them up. So if this is something you find valuable, check out a training and you'll get a much greater understanding of what is the work that needs to be done. And so at this stage, by this stage of the video, now by knowing what is the dark truth of why you attract narcissists, it's because, again, you don't choose yourself. And I want to share with you one belief that you can start building within yourself. But before that, I want to ask you a couple of questions. And these questions will be really direct and they will trigger you. Just, you're probably triggered right now if you watch to this moment. But this question will trigger you because they will trigger the repressed feeling inside of your body that you're not being able to accept, to acknowledge and accept and let go of ultimately. So I'm talking specifically to those feelings. And if something inside of you feels triggered, well, this is what I'm talking about. You need to take responsibility of those belief systems that are triggered. So that's what we will do in a moment. Here is the question I want you to ask. Am I unconsciously blaming my partner or my ex-partner for the lack of support I give to myself in the times I genuinely need space for myself? So is it possible that you have been blaming your partner for the lack of support that you weren't giving to yourself in the times you genuinely needed space for yourself because you were not connected to your boundaries again? Is something like that possible? Now be honest with me. How is this different from codependency? This is the next question I want you to ask. How is it different than codependency? Do I want to be in a free, mutually beneficial partnership? Or do I want somebody to depend on me? Or do I want me to depend on them? Again, powerful questions. And most importantly, do I feel guilty for asking? Do you feel guilty asking for a space and needing my own space in my romantic relationships? Do you feel guilty when you need space for yourself? And it's time for you to ask about it. Because if you do, well, there is some work to be done, some inner work to be done. That's why check out the 3 phases training that I suggested. So my friend, this is again the biggest reason of why you keep attracting narcissists. This is how this belief reflects itself in the world. When you hold the belief, I'm afraid that nobody will choose me because I'm not a good enough person. I'm still not worthy enough. And I need to help others, and I need to always be there for others. I need to always compromise my needs to be there for others, to prove to myself that I am good. And by doing so, eventually I will attract somebody who choose me. By operating from that belief systems, you are basically attracting the exact people who you don't want in your life, narcissists. And the way to let go of that belief system is to embody a belief system like, I am already in a relationship with myself. And this is like, you cannot prove that wrong. You are already in a relationship with yourself. This has always been the case. And eventually, back to the story with my client, she realized that. She realized, okay, I am already here for myself the way I want to be here for others. I'm already in a relationship for myself, meaning that I can take care for my beliefs. I can take responsibility of them. I can let them go. I can let go of those feelings of hurt, of blame. I can let go of that guilt. And this is how she cleared up the space within herself in which she connected to an empowering vision of her ideal partner that 2 months later he entered in her life. This is how it's done, my friend. This is how conscious relationships are pursued. By letting go of what doesn't serve you, all the belief systems, programs of thought, of thinking that don't serve you, and exchanging them with the ones that serve you. And so remember, you're already in a relationship with yourself. You cannot fight that. It's like, it's beyond your control. Every day you wake up with yourself. Every night you go to sleep with yourself. So you're always here relating to yourself from the state of your awareness, whatever it is, like presence awareness, pure, naked presence awareness. You're always there relating to your identity. You're always in a relationship with yourself. The moment you accept that and embody that fully and start taking care for yourself is the moment you connect to your boundaries. Check out the framework below. And it's also going to be the moment in which you connect with the vision and attract your ideal partner. That being the case, my friend, this was everything I wanted to share in this video. If you want to check out the rest of the playlist for narcissists and empaths dynamics, I'll upload many more videos on that topic. You can check it out here by the end of this video. And also, there is one process I want you to try, which is basically a guided meditation for letting go of the feelings, of the reasons that keep you attached to your ex-narcissist or to your ex-person with whom you have broken up. It's a guided process, it's a guided meditation you can try. I'll also link it here in the ends card. You can check it out. And that being the case, thank you so much for staying with me. Thank you so much for watching the video. I trust you found it to be helpful. Like it, comment down below if that's true. And also, if you're new to the channel, Soulful Relationships, subscribe to it, because this is my intention with this channel, to help you experience the most conscious, uplifting, and meaningful relationships. The relationships that you dream about. So if this is something important for you, subscribe to the channel, and I would love to see you around. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time, my friend. Bye-bye for now. I love you.